Hey, welcome to the Kind of Sippy Podcast. I'm your host, Knowledge, and we got a full house today. Who do I got to my left?
Yep. Brooklyn in the house. Rel's in the building.
Hey, man, welcome back, man. Where you been, man?
All over the world. Nah, I'm playing. I've been to Texas.
Might as well be across the world, right?
Yeah, I wasn't in the cool part.
Who do I got to my right?
Oh, y'all already know who it is. It's your boy Tenaro Reed, a.k.a. Natty, Bad Tattoo, Dreadlock owner, operator of Slaughterhouse Tattoos, a.k.a. Mr. Helping You Look Better Naked in the building.
And who I got sitting across from me right here? We got a special guest, part of the Kind of Sippy family here. Who we got here?
Yeah, so because I don't want y'all trying to contact my employer, I'm just Money Marv. That's it. That's it. I'm just out here trying to stimulate the economy while I stimulate your girl. Hey.
Ooh, wow. That was a good one. I'm not even mad at that. And then we have somebody special on the phone, a part of the Pretty Petty Politics podcast. Say that 3 times fast. A member of the Pretty Petty Politics podcast crew. Y'all make sure to check them out. Who do I have on the phone with us right now?
It's your girl, Jules, checking in from Houston.
Hey, welcome back. You've been on here once before, haven't you?
Huh?
You've been on here once before, haven't you?
No, this is my first time.
This your first time on here? I thought I had you on once before. Oh, well, that's my sister. So y'all keep your comments to yourself. We ain't finna have that going on up in here. But if you should feel the need to flirt with my sister, tell them your cash out, baby.
God damn.
Juli.
Yeah, make sure y'all send cash tag right there. You know, just make sure you put the money sign in front. Send cash out. We got a really good show for y'all today, man. We got a couple of real life topics that we want to discuss. And first off, we're gonna start number one with this guy, Driveway Dave. Did y'all see this? This dude in I think he was in Pennsylvania somewhere, where he decided to pull in and block this black family from pulling into their garage, and saying that they was on his property and called the police on them. Like, so we've got Pool Permit Paula, Barbecue Becky, now we've got, it was Pool Permit Paul, and then Barbecue Becky. Now we got Driveway Dave. All these folks, like, dear white family, stop calling the police on black folk for doing regular stuff.
I mean, regular shit, man.
Like, just regular stuff, dog. Like,
It gets to a point where you kind of think, like, I mean, how blatant and brazen can you be? Yeah, that was one of my Wikipedia words that I looked up before I got here.
Nice.
But it really just boggles the mind that it's 2018 and people still have the audacity to be that reckless and I think that they're gonna get this Twitter dragging that they got.
right. You got, let's see. Okay, so they got Permit Patty, Poolside Patricia, Burrito Bob, Barbecue Becky, Coupon Carl, Shoplifting Steve, Airbnb Amy, Gift Shop Gail, and now Parking Peter, a.k.a. Driveway Dan. So that's the list of people that we got to look out for out here in these streets, man. Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all ever had the police call on y'all for something stupid?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to hear what you got to say, Jules, because I know if somebody called the police on you, they was really being dumb.
I just kind of cussed them out with no profanity.
But why did they call you? Like, why did they call the police? What they say you do?
Because I'm black.
Oh, well, why did they say they called the police though?
They really didn't say that they called the police on me. The police appeared. And
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
That's how it always is. Oh, I didn't.
Voila.
I just thought they was in the neighborhood.
Yeah, abracadabra.
We
Police.
just wanted to do a public safety check. That's all.
She say they kind of
They just appeared out of nowhere.
Well, take your public ass off my
Yeah,
private property.
That's crazy. Like,
No, actually,
And I'm gonna say this. I don't explain why I am where I'm supposed to be.
right.
I asked them, "Are you supposed to be here? Do you have ID?" Like, I verified that. Like, we're not gonna do this. You're not gonna make me feel like I'm out of place just because you fail to recognize who I am.
Right.
Like, that's not my fault. Right? That's on you. You got to stop being nosy and mind your business.
stay in your lane.
Mind
your
damn
business.
business.
But also, I had a situation where some cops were called on me and some of my friends on the 4th of July, and it was just weird because we're in that individual's yard popping firecrackers, just like everyone else in
Just
the neighborhood.
minding your business.
Minding my business, celebrating freedom, apparently, or the American version of freedom on that day. And the lady got out the car and said, "You guys can't pop fireworks anymore." We said, "Why?" She said, "'Cause I said so." I said, "What?"
What?
She said, "You in my neighborhood, you guys are visitors, you don't live here." I said, "Well, the owner of the home said we could pop fireworks." She said, "No, you can't. And I'm gonna call the cops on you guys." And I said, "Hold on, wait, are you sure you're gonna call the police?" Because now it's like, all right, well, I wanna become the uppity Negro at this moment.
Right. Firecracker Francis.
Yeah,
That's
so
what we
so as she proceeded to say, "I'm gonna call the cops," and I said, "Well, I really want to make sure I give you a good reason." So then I lit, the 100 round.
So you put out the
Put
100
the
round
drum out there.
Yeah, so
Put
you
the
had to
drum
pull
out
out
there.
the 100 round, and then I said, "Well, just call them, and here we go. Can you move out the way, please?" And we let it go. But it's one of those moments where I don't like when us as black people change up our behavior just because someone threatens to call the police. Like, no. Even though I do know that you have tried to weaponize
The police
the
against me.
police against me, but at the same time, we have to be firm in our belief and know when you're right, you're right.
Right.
And I'm not willing to back down on that.
Now,
Period.
Now you want to talk about your situation that you witnessed, where somebody didn't felt like it wasn't they time to stand up and be right. He had to take a sip first.
Talking about what I was talking about.
Yeah, we
earlier.
were talking about earlier. Yeah,
About
yeah.
At the spot last
Yeah, at the
night.
spot last night. Yeah.
now. This was the situation. Now,
Welcome to Story Time with Natty.
gather round, children. I had a friend of mine, and she was out with a couple of gentlemen, and she got into an altercation. Well, it was all altercations are unpromptu. But anyway, she got into an altercation with a young lady. Well, young lady was constantly spilling drinks on her, so she politely removed the young lady's drink, put it on the table. So now another young lady comes up, which is white. Both of the young ladies were white. Young lady comes up, hey, give her back her drink, and swings off on her. So my homegirl, being my homegirl and being a black queen, she defended herself. She went ahead and served up a 2-piece, extra spicy.
Did she get the biscuit?
The biscuit was on the way, but see, then number 3 came up. So now there's three young white ladies, and my homegirl by herself. Now she was saying that she was with a few homeboys. So when she was telling me the story, I'm like, yo, where were the homeboys at? She was like, one of them right here. So when I seen them, I'm like, yo, where were you doing it? I mean, where were you doing this whole situation? What did you have going on? He was like, well, number one, I already know that she can handle herself. Fuck all that. That's 3 people
You
against
shouldn't
one.
have to handle yourself.
Right. Anyway, that's 3 people against one individual. So I'm like, okay, cool. He was like, well, and the bouncers right there, and this is what killed me right here when he said, you already know what they'll do to me as a black man if I put my hands on a white woman. Now, me personally, I don't give a fuck about none of that. Touch sister, mama, aunt, cousin, whoever, especially in a situation to where we're outnumbered, I'm not gonna let the fear of prosecution throw my people or throw a person that I hold near and dear in the midst of any harmful situation.
In the line of fire.
Right, I ain't gonna do that. Look, we finna ride, whatever the situation may be.
What did Malcolm X say? Black women are the most disrespected,
Right.
Most unprotected demographic in this country.
In this
and
country.
it's
In the world.
in the world, Craig.
And with that situation, me and the individual, we kind of got into a verbal altercation where I got kind of tired of talking, but due to the simple fact that she had love for this individual, she was like, look, bro, let it ride. But I don't understand how somebody can let the fear of prosecution by quote unquote white America police or whatever it may be, let them put somebody that they care about in harm's way. It's no way, shape, form, or
Make no
way,
sense.
shape, form, or fashion for me.
We ain't built like that. And I'm sorry, I'm just cut from a different cloth. You can't see a woman that you care about come into harm's way, and you say you love her, and you watch it happen.
Nah,
That's an oxymoron.
I don't care who
it is.
I don't care who you are.
Look.
I put it like this: 9 times out of 10, if I'm somewhere with a woman, I know they can handle themselves.
Right.
If it's 1-on-1, I'm pretty sure whoever I'm with gonna put that work in, and I'm gonna be like, I'm so proud of you. Now let's get out of here. I'm gone. But the thing is, if it's 3 of them,
Right.
and one of me, now y'all know I have said plenty of times on this show that I do not believe in hidden women.
Ever.
I have said that. I have said that multiple times. But if it's 3 of y'all, and y'all finna jump any woman I'm with, my mama, my grandmama, my sister, my girl, my wife, my cousin, any woman that I'm with, if it's 3 of y'all and one of her,
nah.
one of y'all, I'm gonna try my hardest to be the non-violent, diffusing person standing in the middle. I don't mind taking a couple blows. If y'all come with that BS, I'm defending this black woman that I'm with before I defend any of y'all. Period. I mean, that's how it's going down. One of y'all might catch an eye jamming. I'm just leaving it like that.
You go from a point of being a female or a woman to you are a combatant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My mama ain't raised no punching bags.
I'm not letting you hit or harm or put anybody I'm with in danger.
Hey, so hold on, real quick in that regard. So when a lot of guys are gonna listen to this, or a lot of viewers are gonna listen to this and think like, well, you know, a man still should never put his hand on a woman. But think about it like this. You remember that basketball coach that hit that guy one time and he ended up dying?
Yeah, and killed him, yeah.
Yeah, from that one hit. Who's to say that one hit from one of those women is not gonna cause some life-causing changes in this woman's life?
Here's my thought process with that.
Yeah.
Nobody ever goes into a conflict or a confrontation expecting to die.
But it happens.
It does happen.
Right.
But my thought process with that is, if you're scared to die defending your friend, then run.
Yeah. Get your
Then
punk
run.
ass out the way.
Then run.
Get your punk
Don't
ass
make
out
that
the way.
same
There are
Right.
some people, like I forgot the guy's name, but he wrote a whole article about it, and it's something that these 3%ers and these militia dudes have latched on to, the concept of being a sheepdog. There are some people who run to conflict, and there are those of us who run from conflict. Some people out there are wolves, and some people out there are sheep. But then there are some of us who have love for sheep, who have no problem standing up to the wolves and protecting those sheep. Those people are considered sheepdogs. Now, all these police officers and all these 3%ers and all these militiamen have latched onto that concept, but the reality of it is, everybody ain't built for combat.
Everybody ain't.
Everybody is not built for combat, whether that be physical, hand-to-hand combat, or whether that be combat with firearms or knives or any other sort of weapon. My thing is, if you realize that your value in this situation is getting somebody who's built for that, do that. Yeah. If you realize that your value in this moment at this time is standing in between that person that you love and these 3 evil, angry people that's coming at them on some BS, do that. You got to know your strengths. You got to know your weaknesses. I know that. I put it like this: if it's three linebackers for the Carolina Panthers coming at my homegirl, I'm getting security. I'm telling y'all now.
Are they ass?
Yeah. Oh well, I'm
sorry.
That's the great equalizer.
Right.
I'm gonna keep. If it's 3 dudes that's 6'6", 260 pounds.
Yeah, what?
Get the strap.
I got a little.
I got 6.
Get the strap.
Right. I got 6 rounds for each of y'all. I'm just letting you know now.
I got a little homie named 4/5.
I'm trying to tell you.
4/5. I got a buddy named 380.
I'm gonna turn into Tekashi 6'9". Blicky got the stiffy. And I'm letting you have it. Point blank.
That's self-defense at that point.
Did you just quote?
You professionally
quote
quote
rainbow haired man?
Yes, I just quoted Tekashi 6'9".
All right, I'm gonna let you have it.
Let's move on to some old people who just have completely messed the game up. Verizon. I won't smoke with Verizon, y'all.
Wait till next month I can change my phone.
I won't smoke with Verizon, like for real. Like, okay, so let me tell y'all what happened. Okay, so the Santa Clara County Fire Department out there in California is fighting wildfires. Okay, they are literally in the midst of fighting wildfires. And the county fire department IT folks discovered that their data for a certain line was being throttled by Verizon. The data rates have been reduced to 1/200th of the original speed or less. So that means if you had like a gigabyte, you down to like 5 megabytes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, per second. So that's a big deal, you know. And so he said the reduced speeds severely interfered with their ability to function effectively. They communicated directly with Verizon, asking them to remove the throttle for public safety purposes. Verizon did not immediately restore full speeds. They said Verizon representatives confirmed the throttling, but rather than restoring us to an essential data transfer speed, they indicated that the county fire department would have to switch to a new data plan at more than twice the cost.
Goddamn.
And they would only remove throttling after we contacted the department that handles billing and switched to the new data plan. So that means you're putting people's lives in danger.
Lives, home.
To get to finesse the fire department out of into doubling their bill.
That's crazy.
I can't believe that Verizon did this.
I can believe
it.
it.
Had to be some bad training.
Verizon said, you get the bag and fumble it. I get the bag and flip it and tumble it. All right? That's what happened. Verizon was trying to get to the bag. They saw opportunity.
Yeah, they see opportunity. They like,
that makes perfect sense, though. That's what happened to me in Texas. So I'm in Texas in the middle of the weeds for 21 days. And after the first 4 or 5 days, everybody with Verizon just crap. Got 4 bars LTE. I can't send a text. I can't reach out to my elements I need reports from. We spread out between 10, 20, 30 miles. I'm like, well, I ain't got nothing for the commander. I can't tell you what the enemy is. I ain't got nothing from the snipers. And that's the only way we can communicate.
Word.
We talked to Verizon like, hey, is my plan good? Yeah, you have to buy more high speed. So some of us did. You can opt into buying a couple more gigs of high speed. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Like, how is this legal?
Shit.
Like, seriously, how is this legal?
We just trying to get ready for war. I'm just saying.
It's a cell phone crack game, man.
Hey, flip it.
It's a drought. It's a drought on the gigs. It's a drought on the gigs, kid.
Let me get my hands on the satellite. Everybody in the hood good.
If you can control the market, if you can control the lines, the infrastructure, then you can control who's going to get the data from it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm going to start pissing on them fake trees on the side of the highway.
Like you say, man.
So stupid.
That came out of left field.
Not quite. If you know what's in them trees, not quite. It's a repeater.
Yeah.
Those fake trees are repeaters. So, yeah, I'm not even mad at you. I hope you short one out. Eat a lot of asparagus first.
That's a great opportunity for
Hey, I had
Sprint to
asparagus
come
last
in.
night.
I agree with you. I think that's a great opportunity for Sprint to come in. I actually, when we posted this on our Instagram page, we actually added T-Mobile and said, T-Mobile, would you do this? Now, they didn't respond to us, of course, but
T-Mobile got a good thing going, though.
T-Mobile can move in on this.
Right.
So can Sprint. So can AT&T.
T-Mobile got a hell of a military thing going right now.
Yeah, they got
Right.
50% off for
50%
military.
off for
I had
military.
3 dudes today talking about, hey, I'm good. Just got my phone ported.
Man, you know what's messed up about mine, though?
What?
I got a business line, bro. Dang, give me my 50% off, man. I'm still paying the full price for mine.
Maybe we need to call him or tweet him.
Nah, man.
I just feel like Sprint could get them some church phones because they still make them.
Sprint does still make them Nextel chirps, though. Yeah.
Oh, did Sprint get bought out, though?
Yeah, they make them. Nah, they was thinking about getting bought. I think T-Mobile was gonna buy them. I think, but they still got those Nextel walkie-talkies though.
They still got the chirp.
Shoot, I might have.
Let me tell you, Hurricane Rita, I was in grad school out here, and that was the only thing that worked. And she had a Nextel.
So the Nextel was the only thing that worked during that, like.
Yeah.
Why is it? I mean, do you know why that is? I mean, is it a matter?
I don't know.
That
I
operate
don't
on
know,
radio
but
waves.
Yeah, I think it's like a CB frequency or something like that,
it was
right?
the bomb for me. I was able to communicate with my family outside of Texas. My sister just took her, at the time she was working for GM, she just took her radio home from work.
Yeah, it's a different network.
Yeah,
Different infrastructure for the whatever they call it.
Shoot, I might need to get me one of them.
It's like, it's like the equivalent of a 2018 beeper.
We gonna bring back the chirp?
Yo, quietly, I want to get me a
Word.
beeper.
Hey man, hold on. After we break out of here, we might need to go by Sprint.
I'm for real. I might have to go get me a beeper though, for real. Like I really want me a pager.
I don't know about
I'm gonna give me I want the sidekick to come back.
Yo.
But the beeper
Can you give me a
though,
line?
the beeper used to be the truth. Like when you were in middle school, well, you probably was in high school. My bad. I'm
Shots
sorry.
fired.
But when the beepers came out, you was the man in middle school. You walking around with a beeper? Come on, man.
Ain't had no line on
y'all
it.
see how Money Marv shooting at me over here?
Look,
You see how
my
Money Marv
beeper
shooting
was
at me?
nothing but a clock.
Nah, I had a pager. I was in the 8th grade. Thank you very much. I was in junior high
Okay, all right.
when I had my first pager. I got my first two-way in college. And then I had my, I remember sidekick though. I missed the sidekick. I really want the sidekick to come back.
Yeah, that was the hot
Sidekick
thing.
was I still got my old sidekick at the house right now.
Look, I had a blue one with the like the see-through blue one.
Hey.
Yeah.
I got my sidekick and my razor at the house right now.
Oh,
You
nah,
got
you doing too
you
much.
got vintage
using it?
material.
No. I know why you still got them.
Okay, let's
you
get
using
back
that
on
as
subject.
Stop.
Y'all
Okay,
don't
all right.
went too far.
Stop.
Y'all
Evidence.
Oh, my bad, Jules. My bad. I was going down memory lane right then. I was about to go throwback on y'all right quick. So y'all ragged ass president tweeted out last week.
I don't have one of those.
Oh, they ragged ass president tweeted out last week that he asked Secretary of State to closely study South Africa land and farm seizures and expropriations and the large scale killing of farmers. Only problem with that is that they ragged ass president didn't fact check that tweet, and the shit just ain't happening. So yeah, the South Africans basically said, "Hey guys, yeah, no, it's not happening. This is an alt-right conspiracy that was created primarily by Identity Europa." And yeah, so these
Say that again.
Identity Europa.
That's your South African.
I don't know where Identity Europa is from, so I just kind of threw in some weird accent or whatever. But the thing is, the only people who are actually talking about this is wingnuts from the right wing because it's not factually based. So,
All right. Hey,
yeah.
so
Can you goddamn stop calling me that?
okay, my bad. What?
You know what? I'm gonna beep out each time you said that.
Okay.
Thank you for making my job harder today.
Okay, my bad.
That drink you the drink.
All right. We got lemonade.
Oh,
in
if
it,
I know
so
they
I'm
heard that
good.
on the mic, that boom. That's a certain yak that just got.
Yeah, he
Right.
did. He did. He got me on that. All right. So the issue that I have with the president right now making those comments, how you gonna tell me that land was stolen from African people, from colonizers, can be taken back, and you're gonna call us crooks? So how can something be stolen that was already stolen from the original owners? You can't do that. Now, I understand the political backlash, but you can't say, because what's going to end up happening, if this goes right and it goes well, then you can literally have people in the United States saying when white farmers would come to black people and say, no, this is my land now. Now we can trace stuff like that and have that conversation. That's just my thoughts.
I think the biggest thing, and I've always said this, I've always said that the real reason that any protest in this country by black people has been problematic for white people is because they're afraid that we're going to ask for revenge as opposed to equality. Right. Or that we're going to ask for reparations instead of justice. And I think that scares them. Like, what's her name? The white lady, Jane, I can't think of her name.
Elliot.
Jane Elliott. She said that she asked
I'm gonna meet her next week.
Oh, that's what's up. I said, she asked a group of white people, she said, how many people in here would trade places with a black person today, right now?
And nobody
raised their hand. She said,
Zero.
that means that you're aware of, and you can see how black people in this country are treated and how they're treated unfairly, and you just won't stand up and say anything.
Do nothing about it.
And see, it's crazy. And here's what's even crazier. So I gotta go back to y'all cousin Kanye, when he said slavery was a choice. So at that time, like when slavery first started in this country, all the way up until emancipation, do you realize how outnumbered black people were in this country? And we still had slave revolts, and we still had folks fighting back. And so the thing is, to say slavery was a choice in any way, shape, form, or fashion, whether you try to make that mental note or whether you try to make that a physical thing, you're lost. You're wrong. You're dead wrong. And so the thing is, like, you see stuff like this, and you see how this stuff gets traction. People make up a lie. They spread the lie. The lie gets legitimized by folks like Tucker Carlson and your girl Ann Coulter and all these idiots up here in Fox News and with the alt-right, and it gains some traction. Now you got folks believing this garbage like it's the truth.
But it's not their land.
It's
Period.
not. I actually saw
Kanye's
somebody.
an idiot. Let's just say
Well, we already know that.
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
Kanye.
But no,
yeah.
like let's go down that
let's
road
make that
though.
clear.
Like if you telling me right now, I want compensation for the land that you're about to take from me. Well, that's like you stealing the car from me, and me having to pay to get it back.
People pay to get their chains back all the time, B.
Hey.
Well, I get where you coming from with that.
Here's the thought process. I actually saw somebody on Twitter say that those Africans don't deserve that land in South Africa.
Who are they to make that judgment?
I was like, wait,
Hey,
what?
So who deserve it?
I was like, wait, what?
So who deserve
They
it?
don't. It's like those Africans in South Africa don't own that land.
How?
How?
Sway?
I mean,
You ain't got the answers. I'm like, what?
who deserves it?
That's a great question.
I guess the antelope, the cantaloupe. I mean, goddamn.
I'll wait.
The
You
wildebeest.
can't, you
the-
can't take something
the
from a
giraffe.
people and then try to make them feel guilty for reclaiming what's rightfully
It is.
theirs.
Come on, right.
Right.
Like right now, if they said, well, we want to give the land back to African Americans in the United States, and then the Native Americans say, no, well, hold on a minute, I would respect that. I would have to
Not even
respect it.
Right.
It bothered. You know what? I actually said that there is no excuse for there not being a Native American president of this country every single year.
Ooh, I like that.
You can't.
Wow.
There's real life no rationalization as to why there should not be a Native American president of this country, or at the very least a presidential candidate every single year.
Hey, so I got a question along those lines of what you just said. Why hasn't anyone ever addressed the sheer systematic killing of Native Americans and how we became a country? No one has ever just flat out said, you know what?
Man.
The way that we created this country was somewhat wrong.
And this is a parallel to South Africa. I'm going to tell you why.
I went down that rabbit hole last week with a dude.
They're
and the
under the
BS he gave
impression.
me.
They're under the impression that since Native Americans have reservations, where they don't have to pay certain taxes and things of that nature, and certain quote unquote entitlements in this country, that they've given Native Americans proper compensation and reparations for for the pain that they've suffered in the past. And they've even brought in the fact that they can create these casinos to create wealth specifically within the Native American community as a form of reparations. Meanwhile, you introduce various things to these Native American lands and continue stealing their land, such as with the Dakota Pipeline, that kill these people and disrespect their land and disrespect who they are. So America's the biggest gangster in the world.
Facts.
America will come in your house, fuck your wife, kill your kids, put a gun to your head and say, give me all your shit, and then look at you and say, now love me.
And here's your tax bill.
Yeah. And then make you pay for them to fix your house and sit in it and live in it. America's a gangster.
So let me tag on to that. So I was having a conversation. It started off with, how can somebody discover something that already has people there? It ended with, well, there was one tribe that said that they could use the name Braves for the Atlanta baseball team. We good. I'm like, who was that? It was like, it was the chief of one tribe. I'm like, so one person speaks for a nation, a race, and indigenous people to this land that y'all took? So that they literally look at it as like, we got the okay from one dude.
So
we good.
So let me interject something. Just kind of think about this for a second. What, like, looking back at the whole Thanksgiving scene and whatnot, just think about right now how many Native Americans just really wish they would have never said anything. They would have never met them. They would have never greeted them with hospitality. They would have waited till they went to sleep and scalped every last one of them.
Well, who says that was the truth? The winners write the winners write history.
They probably did try.
But it'd probably be the same amount of people that said that we probably wish that we would have integrated into white communities.
Hey, don't
like
go down
making-
that road.
I like making
it
all-
Hold on.
I
Don't
like
go down
making
that
it all
road if you
right.
ain't ready for it now.
Wait,
Driving.
let's let Jules
I'm
jump in
driving.
right here. Let's let Jules jump in right here. What were you saying?
So here's my thing with Native Americans, or how we say Indian people, right? Indians in America.
Mhm.
First of all, it's not that they all went to reservations. Many of us, myself included, have a great amount of Native American roots. When you study Native American, not to say we're not African too, I believe that there was an intentional mixing. But when you study the history, barely, you don't even, when you just scratch the surface, you can see it.
Especially, not to cut you off, Jules, especially in the Virginia area. Especially in the Virginia area.
Florida, and East Georgia.
And
Bingo.
Florida.
Bingo.
So that's where I was going, because I'm a Floridian, right? So the name Seminoles, most people think I hate FSU because I'm a Hurricane fan. Well, yeah. But truly, it's because they go by the name Seminoles, right? They go by the name Seminoles, but Seminoles in itself literally means runaway slave.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Up until maybe the last 20 years, Florida State offered tuition free to people with, if you could show your Native American roots. Well, that's paperwork, right?
Right.
We didn't have paperwork to pass down. And so
real.
you have people who look like not Native American, not a red bone in their body. They're not maroon, right?
Right.
Which could be defined by my complexion. They're white men, who have benefited from that, and they get this free in-state tuition.
Because they got the paperwork.
So it's a constant, because of paperwork. And that was probably an agreement made with some random chief who was bought out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So when we discuss Native Americans as a whole aren't just people on reservations. There are people in your family. The whole thing that we make jokes about, we got Indian in our blood.
We got dark
That
nails.
was something that was passed down on purpose because we had to pass down our lineage verbally, orally. We had to learn an oral history because it was against the law for us to read and write. And I'm not just saying this to be making shit up. I can just look at me and I can look at people in my family and I can see the bone structure. I can see the way because your DNA, you know what I'm saying? It shows. I got people in my family, you look at it, you're like, golly, you a black Indian. Just the way your physique is made.
Yep.
My mother's bone structure. Had I not known my great-grandmother was Native American, I would have still known somebody in my mother's lineage very close to her was, just based on her bone structure. So there's a reason why Native Americans get dicked around the way they do. There's a reason for that. And the ones in the South really don't have as much as the ones who are, say, in the Northwest or like
in the Midwest, for that matter.
The Midwest, right. Because down South, like the Choctaw and the Seminoles.
And the Creek Indians and all those folks.
The Creek, right. It's y'all can have casinos, and that's about it. And they create that divide. They created a racial divide, So it's much deeper than just the surface. I'm glad we're talking about the surface, but it's much deeper. And again, it benefited the immigrants, the European immigrants. It benefited them, but it did not benefit the Africans who were brought over here as slaves, nor the natives who were already here. And one could seriously argue that the natives themselves were so easy to mix with the slaves brought here from Africa because they could literally identify with them, not just physically, but culturally. The foods were similar.
And a lot of times slaves would actually, escaped slaves would actually get tied into some of the Native American tribes nearby. They would escape the reservation. Right.
Look at our dances. Look at our rituals. You know what I mean?
Look at our spirituality.
The spirituality, right? So it's nothing to be surprised about. I mean.
Well, let's
one Saturday of reading actually could just like enlighten you on it. That don't mean all black people, but it's quite a few of us.
We're going to give y'all some homework. So if you listen to the podcast right now, make sure you take this weekend and research a little bit about the history of Native Americans in America and their connection to black folks, indigenous folks, and black folks brought over here on boats without against their will. Speaking of somebody that we done kicked out our tribe, all the tribes, Jim Brown.
Damn.
Oh yeah, he gone.
Yeah, he can't.
Yeah. You know what? I tried
I know
to.
Muhammad Ali want to come back and beat his behind.
It's
Why
kinda-
did I have you in Cleveland? You sell out?
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Tell me how you really feel, huh?
Right.
No, he said. So Jim Brown decided. He said. I should be criticizing Trump on every level because he does certain things that call for criticism. But when I look at television, I see all these announcers become experts and they're pointing the fingers and they're not doing a doggone thing but pointing their fingers. I find myself really pulling for the president. Now, the reason this is so troublesome is because Jim Brown is the guy that a lot of people tried to liken to Colin Kaepernick. You know, like, because Jim Brown was very outspoken during his time as an athlete. Very outspoken, you know, standing up for the rights of black people, to not be discriminated against and to basically just be left the hell alone in America to live their lives freely. And now for him to stand up here and say that he finds himself pulling for a man who is the is the opposite of everything he ever said he stood for.
He's the epitome of like what we all.
Can't even get it out.
It is
so
crazy.
easy.
It's crazy to me that Jim Brown, a man that has been a mentor to so many people, you pulling for a man that genuinely don't have shown himself. It's not so much. We could start. We give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and just say, let's look at his historical record. Since he has been in office, he has literally done nothing to help us.
Oh, speaking of which, wait, let me sidebar right there. Speaking of which, y'all ragged ass pastors that went up there to sit with Trump, talking about prison reform. Yeah, Trump ain't even supporting the bill, and the Justice Department gave him a pat on the back for it.
So
y'all taking y'all ass to them ragged ass churches.
That's what I'm
saying. These raggedy preachers, and we like to talk all the time about how Satan was once an angel. Right. Why can't you look in the pulpit and see that you listen to Satan right there? He know the Bible too.
So let's not even explore that. But back to the Jim Brown and his Sambo looking ass. No, like for real. I get so tired of. It's kind of like what Jay-Z said. You die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
That was in Batman first.
Oh well.
Yeah. I think
shout out to Hove.
Have you ever seen a crowd going ape shit though?
That's what I'm saying. So
we got stadiums too.
But it bothers me over the sheer fact that this man, after everything you did, after everything you stood for, the criticism, the racism, and you literally finna say, I'm gonna stand next to a man that goes against everything that you said, you old and see now. You need to retire. Let it go. Look, Pass on that torch. Because it's like, you ain't the man that you once were. Muhammad Ali would have never done that.
Never.
Ever. This man literally said, you know what? And I respect somebody that can stand before a crowd and say, I understand that y'all gonna ridicule me for this.
But I'm gonna stand on my beliefs anyway.
I'm gonna stand on my beliefs anyway, because I'm doing it for the greater good, and nobody's willing to do that.
Yup.
Jim Brown, come on, man.
I'm gonna tell you what hurt my feelings, man. Jim Brown was the individual who helped prosecute Mr. Big for Junebug Spade. Y'all remember June?
Look, homework assignment number 2. Watch, I'm gonna get you sucker. Watch, I'm gonna get you sucker.
He helped find Mr. Big and prosecute Mr. Big for Junebug Spade's murder. And this is what you do to us.
Hey. Well, I got one real question though while we playing. How much is one rib? One rib.
But look,
what about a cup of soda?
They put it in my hand.
Fuck the cup. Put it in my hand. But no, seriously.
But you know, I ain't gonna lie, like Marv said, man, sometimes, man. R.P. Junebug Spade. Shout out.
Hey, he weak over there, man. That boy is
While
weak.
he choking, let me get this out, though, because I get so pissed off about this stuff. And check this out. So my grandmother listened to the podcast. My grandmother Trill, though.
Hey, Grandma. Hey, Grandma, how you doing?
But she be like, why y'all get so riled up? I'm like, but don't you see what's happening? And they just getting away with it? She was like, baby, ain't nothing changed. They been doing this.
Right.
You just got to figure out how to live your life to make sure it don't affect you.
Right.
And I used to say when stuff like that would happen, who was that getting off? Was that Barry Gordy or who was that? Like a couple months ago, talking reckless about Mike and Prince, and he's like, "Oh, they just
Quincy
old.
Jones.
Yeah, Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Like, man, he just old. Let him say what he got to say. Well, Motherfuckers getting old every day, B. We just gonna let them keep talking?
Yeah, they get the smoke. They get the smoke.
Nah,
old
man,
ass.
age ain't no excuse.
Man, everybody can get this work.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I don't
Jim
care.
Brown,
I don't care.
several
I don't
seats
care
for you,
what.
sir.
Because hold on, it goes to this. How just because you did something good, your mother could provide for you your whole entire life. And then when you turn 21, she becomes your enemy. And she does nothing good for you. She's actually a roadblock to your success in life. Do you let go of everything she did for you? No. You give her a chance. You give her the benefit of the doubt. But once she has established that I am an adversary, you have to treat her as such. Jim Brown has established himself as an adversary.
Right.
Kanye West has established himself as someone that is against the upward mobility of people of color. It's not just black people, of people of color. That is crazy to me.
Here's my thing, and
This senile fool.
Let's we gonna say this and let's push on. So the thing is, it's like, you know, I saw someone say that you know, we always sit here and be like, oh well, you know, these old people, like when old white folks say colored or nigga or something like that, they be like, oh well, they old, they know that.
They
So
from a different time.
But what that says to me is that you lived through the civil rights movement, you lived through every single progressive movement in this country, and you chose
to ignore it.
not to learn a damn
You ain't
thing.
learned
And so a
shit.
man that sees the world at 40 the same way he did at 20 has wasted 20 years of his life.
Wasted.
And so the thing is, we got people out here who've wasted 60 years of their life calling themselves elders. Sir, I would never call you Baba or elder. Never. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So let's move on to somebody who
James.
now I know now right, your name is James. You're you're not even Jim. I'm calling you James.
James.
And you know what? I feel like that's disrespectful to the Godfather of Soul. So I can't even call you James Brown. I'm gonna call you Jimmy. I'm gonna give
Jimmy.
you now you're a
Jimbo.
little boy in shorts.
Jimbo.
Okay.
Jimmy.
So now Jules, I know that you had a thought about this and you found some new information about this. We got word that a man in Grand Rapids, Michigan, David Allen Dean, 60 years old, was arrested on the charge of felony sex offense, excluding assault, and commercializing. Not quite sure what commercializing
Did
means.
he film it and sell it like R. Kelly?
Well, basically, he said that this 5-year-old was playing hide and seek with her friends, and he called her nigger and urinated on her as she hid in the bushes behind his house. Yeah.
I just lost all feeling in my
So
chest.
now, Jules, you said you found some new information, right?
Yeah, I read, and I'm going to have to pull it up. We're going to have to come back to it. But I read where the story was proven to be false, that she lied, and that's not really what happened.
I've been sitting here looking for it, and I haven't seen that yet.
Now, Jules, you want this Cash App now? You're going to have to pull it up now.
All right.
Wait. Okay, so but wait. So Katrina Rapier, who was the woman who identified him as the suspect, said that her eyes was really big, like she was about to cry. The young girl was soaking wet, and it said her hair smelled like nothing but urine, and it was like soaked. Her whole shirt, front to back, was soaked.
He must have drunk his gallon of water that day.
Now, damn it, Natty.
My bad.
Now the thing is,
It's hot out there.
I'm sitting here looking. It said, okay, so it did say charges were dropped. I'm looking right now where it says charges were dropped. Said the kids involved made up the story to avoid trouble. So who peed on the girl? You know what? I don't even want to know. That sounds like a conversation. That sounds like it's going into R. Kelly territory. I don't even want to know. So the charges have been dropped against this guy. Apparently, this guy also has a history of mental illness, of course, like every white man accused of anything has history of mental illness. So yeah, tell your kids to stop lying.
Yes, definitely. I'm sorry, I'm watching this. Definitely tell them to stop lying. We had a situation like that in Houston, and people from out of Houston were sending the story to me, and I was like, this story just don't sound right. Like, something about it just don't fit well in my spirit. And sure enough, law
Wasn't true.
enforcement came out and said the kids lied about it. It was so ridiculous. He was like, he was kidnapped by 2 or 3 men with red hair and driving a pickup truck, and they called him nigger, and they were beating him, and they were going to kill him. And then he was able to run away, and somebody helped. No, that didn't happen because that's too easy to identify. That's too many details for nobody
Right.
to be able to identify who did that.
Somebody
Right.
tell the churn we got enough real problems out here. They ain't got to
Exactly.
make nothing up.
Please stop lying.
But
Like,
my question is, who is putting these stories out there, paying people to do it? Because people not just doing that on their own. I don't care what you
I don't
can
want to
agree with
say
that.
it, but media,
You know what?
Yeah, I mean, media
Let's-
propagation is.
Let's,
Lifetime movies.
you know what? Let's move on to the next one. This week in white privilege,
Oh.
we have a young lady named Naomi H. who decided to get on Twitter and say, "Everyone shut the fuck up. I got accepted for a NASA internship."
Yeah.
So Homer Hickam, who just so happens to be on the National Space Council, which oversees NASA, tweeted her back and said, "Language." She said, basically, suck something.
Yeah.
I'm working for NASA.
Right.
And so he responded, "And I'm on the National Space Council that oversees NASA." She ended up deleting her posts and all that kind of stuff.
Instant
And
karma.
this was after
Yeah.
like her peoples decided to go in and clown Mr. Hickam. So she ended up losing her internship shortly thereafter. Now here's where white privilege comes into play. Had anybody sitting at this table or on the phone done something like that publicly
We'd have
on
been-
social media,
We'd have been dead.
we'd have been fired, possibly dead,
Castrated.
any kind of stuff. We never would have gotten a second opportunity.
Never.
Mr. Hickam is actually going out of his way to find her a job in the aerospace industry right now.
Send her ass to Space Force.
Did you just
Sound about right.
Front fucking line.
Front line.
Starship Troopers?
Starship Trooper like a motherfucker.
You know what? And I read that story, and what I think is dope about it is, because I got a heart for young people like that. Okay, you fucked up. You learned from it. You embarrassed
She gonna have to stand on that
one.
one.
Still qualified to tell, and we don't need to lose this talent.
I get it. But you know how many, and that's why I say this week in white privilege. Because the thing is, had that been, let's see, had her name not, let's say her name is Naomi Hill. Had her name been,
So she wasn't black?
no.
Mm-mm.
Had this been Namisha Washington,
Spell that.
exactly.
Okay.
Apostrophe
You got two apostrophes.
hyphen.
I'm just saying.
That
That we don't
I
get.
don't know. Maybe I need to ask him and ask him.
We don't. Please don't do that, Jules. Please.
Do it, Jules.
You know,
Do it, Jules.
Do it
I
for
can
the
do it
culture.
from my, I got multiple pages. I do it for my work,
I
my
got multiple pages.
work.
Said I got multiple.
She KD over here with it.
Jules an insurgent. She fucking internet espionage. I know that's right, Jules. I know that's right, Jules. Never reveal your identity.
That's.
Y'all leave me alone.
I'm gonna leave it alone. I will totally leave it alone.
But like you say though, knowledge, man, it's like that never would. It never would have happened if it was an African American or anybody of color.
It would have been all types of, see, they're ungrateful. We're
Fu-
trying to give them
yeah.
like you pity us.
Right.
Nah,
right.
it ain't like that. We don't get we don't get afforded the same positions. Then when we're in the same position, would a black person even think to say something like that?
Yeah, we don't even look. We don't get the
To
slap
be
on
honest,
the hand.
if I got a position like that, I'm keeping it low because I'm looking out for the next person trying to cut me off.
First of all, we ain't about to tell nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm
Keeping
saying.
that low.
Keeping that on
nah,
the low.
You ain't got to know what moves I'm about to make. When you see me with a big red, white, and blue star spangled whatever logo behind me, then you know I got it.
That's that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a black person right now that can't even go to their job and tell their supervisor to suck something.
I know I can't go to my job and tell my supervisor. I
nah,
can't.
but
So
let
I
alone-
can't hand
I
my
ain't trying to
supervisor
risk
a
it all.
lollipop.
But let alone an intern.
No, man. Hey, we keep talking about the youth, right? Let's give them another chance. We don't do that for our kids. They hoodlums. They're thugs. Like, nah, man.
And the bad part is we're raised to know that we ain't gonna get no second chances.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't mess up, but they're given an
We don't get-
opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
They get a slap on the wrist.
That's why children of color mature at such an early age, and they're so diverse in so many different ways.
Bingo.
People are recognizing that, but they don't want to take a chance on it. They don't want to take a gamble on it because of their preconceived notions. They don't know what really goes on with these kids and why they're so advanced socially, whether that be a good thing or a bad thing, whether they know all this crazy stuff that's going on in the world at 5 to make up a story about getting peed on.
Right.
That's crazy to me. That's still crazy to me that's something that's happening. I don't.
In the hood, you forced to grow up at an early age. You got to deal with stuff that most people can't. That's why Timmy going around shooting up video game contests when he lose.
That motherfucker there. Did y'all see that? For the guy shooting up the Madden tournament, the mass shooting that was in Florida in Jacksonville Landing.
What?
Yeah, this guy lost, came back in and shot up
the whole tournament.
The Madden tournament. He killed 3 people, including himself, and wounded like a couple, and somebody got injured while running out of the venue. Yeah. This was on a Madden 19 tournament.
He was like a world champion like 3 years in a row or something like that.
He was supposed to be like ranked somewhere. He lost in this tournament and then just went crazy and started shooting.
Whole world crumbled.
Now here's my thing. Now here's another thing I brought up. I said, you know, every time we bring up gun control, every time we say Black Lives Matter, every time we say, hey, we need to do something about these police that are killing unarmed black and brown people, somebody brings up Chicago. And I'm like, okay, it's funny because Cleveland, New Orleans, I want to say St. Louis, and somewhere else has a higher murder rate than Chicago. But they use Chicago for 2 reasons. Number one, they like to say, well, Chicago has tough gun laws. Yeah, but Indiana doesn't, and it's 20 minutes away. Right. Shut up. Yep. Number one. Number two, they like to tie it back to Barack Obama and Rahm Emanuel. That's what a lot of people don't realize, that they try to connect Barack Obama and Rahm Emanuel to the things that are going on in Chicago as if they had something to do with the crime in that area and try to blame them for the level of inner city violence there. I always tell them that you don't really care about inner city violence because there are 50 organizations right now in Chicago tackling inner city and gang violence, number one. Number two, why don't you just treat Chicago the same way you treat these maladjusted white men who go out in these violent outbreaks and rampages and shoot everybody? I had a guy tell me, you should really look at, Chicago's full of mass shootings. They have mass shootings every week. I said, now, if we're going by mass shootings by definition, which is 4 more people killed in one instance, you're lying. Right. Number one. Number two, he was like, well, you should look at the faces of mass shooters. They're not all white. I said, number one, I never said they're all white. Number two, the vast majority of mass murderers as well as serial killers in this country are white and male. So until you care about that more than your thoughts and your prayers that you gave them kids in Newtown, and those kids in Florida, and those kids in Columbine, and all these kids all over the place, the Aurora, Colorado theater goers, you didn't give those same thoughts and prayers to the soldiers who were killed by Nidal Hassan, did you? No. None. You just use that as an excuse to paint Muslims as bad. So until you show something more than thoughts and prayers, I don't really give a damn how you feel about Chicago. I don't give a damn how you feel about Black Lives Matter. I don't give a damn how you feel about anything. Because the thing is, if we look at child molestation, you need to keep that same energy with them Catholic priests. Keep that same energy with them child molesters I see in the newspaper every single week. Keep that same energy with those rapists I see in the police in the newspaper every single week. Keep that same energy with these mass shooters.
Well,
y'all don't do that. That's how we know y'all hypocrites. And so the thing is, I don't care how you feel, and I tell them straight up. And one thing about me, people know, anybody that knows me and that's seen me on Facebook longer than 5 minutes knows I will drag you. And if I got time that day, like if I have a short time, if I have a short work day and I got time, I will go all the way in. I had somebody just the past 2 days decide it would be a good idea to sit there on Facebook and tell bold-faced lies. Now, my thing is, a lot of times I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'll respond to this. I'm good, love, enjoy. Right. When you start feeling froggy and you decide that you want to jump out the window at me, then I'm
jump out the front porch.
Then the thing is, what I do, I have a policy about honesty and ass whoopings. If you ask for it, I have to give it to you. And so what it was is she came at me a certain type of way. And one thing about me also is that I kill ants with sledgehammers. I let her have it. I let her have it for 2 hours straight. And then she came back and said, well, I'm sure you don't have a job and yada, yada, yada. She said, you should look up how much a CPA makes. I said, oh, that's very interesting. So what I did was I took an average salary of a CPA. I took an average salary of my position. I said, it's really interesting that I make 33% more than you.
Hey!
Money in the bank.
And then she said, oh, well, you should look up what a partner CPA makes. I have my own practice. See, now I got you. I just baited you into jumping completely out the window. So when she jumped completely out the window, I went on and looked up her business. And I said, oh, so now you're a partner CPA in this law firm. I mean, not in this law firm, in this particular firm, in this particular city. So I know you don't make as much as the average. So even if you are a partner, I still make more money than you. So please stop using your finances as an excuse to be an asshole.
I wish somebody would come for me.
And then on top of that, she was like, well, blah, 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 blah. And she came at me a certain kind of way, like I didn't have a job. I said, okay, so this is what we doing now. This is how we playing. All right. So what I did was I not only tagged her business, but then I found out that she also had two restaurants that are now permanently closed that had very, very low reviews. I took screenshots of those reviews and I posted them up on her ass. I said, the reason you love Trump so much is because you're both very bad, dishonest business persons.
Ooh.
Then she tried to say, oh, well, you should be careful with that slanderous language. I said, truth is a defense to slander. Now tell me where I lied. So the problem is y'all got too many people out here with these false senses of entitlement and these false senses of facts. Your opinion does not equal facts. Exactly. And the problem is you got these people out here, these certain folks, these colonizers out here, and certain misguided black folks like Jim Brown who firmly believe that Chicago is the bane of America's existence, and that if black people don't care about inner city crime or intraracial violence. The only time I hear anything about black on black violence is when white people trying to deflect from anything going on with their community.
Facts.
And then the black people who buy into that self-hating bullshit, every time you bring up the equal thing of intraracial violence as it relates to white folks, they're like, well, I don't care about the white community. I guarantee you, if we got black on black murders down to 10 a year, let's say 10 black people in a year were killed, and 9 of them were killed by black people, it would still be a 90% rate. Murder is not a crime of intraracial hatred. I'm not going to kill you, Natty. I'm not going to kill you, Money Marv. I'm not going to kill you, Rel, because you're black. I'm killing you because you're in that area. Murder is a crime of opportunity or circumstance. The opportunity is there for me to kill you because you have slighted me in some way, or the circumstances dictate that I kill you over money, disrespect, pussy, whatever it may be.
Whatever it may be.
That's what it is. 86% of white people who are killed by other white people. But they don't say that.
And my thing, bro, is like this right
How
here.
are these circumstances created? But I ain't gonna get into that.
My thing is this right here, bro. The reason why a lot of mass murderers or mass shooters are easily given that route of mental illness is because the people who view them can identify with them. They can identify with them because you know what? They used to be like Lil Timmy or like Lil Johnny. They used to be like them, so they can identify with them. So therefore, that judge that's sitting on, or that prosecutor, that DA or whoever, they can identify. So that's why they give them a escape route, because you know what? That used to be them, but they didn't actually pull the trigger. And that's why they get that scapegoat. They can't identify with Tenaro. They can't identify with Jerome, Leroy. So that's why
you just made me think of something. So the thing is, if you look at the criminal justice system in this country, a lot of our judges and attorneys, a lot of them, and Jules, you can speak to this because you've been in and around the criminal justice system before, on the right side of it. You look at them, and a lot of them come from places of privilege. A lot of these judges come from places of financial privilege, and they come from backgrounds of privilege and things of that nature. And so when they see little Timmy come up there, and little Timmy reminds them of, Corey, who they went to elementary school with, that they used to pick on and bully, they're more sympathetic to them. Right. But then when like you said, a Jerome or a Jamal comes up there who is the living embodiment of all their worst nightmares, and he's up there for stealing a 10-cent candy bar, you automatically want to lock away what you're afraid of.
And then their first line of defense is you were afforded the same opportunity as everybody else. You went to the same schools as Timmy and Becky. Yeah, I might have went to the same schools, but I had an unfair advantage of what the teacher thought of me. Because I was in the inner city and went to what down south is a charter school, up top it's a magnet school. And they look at me and like, well, why are you acting like this? Why do you come to school with this attitude? Or why are you so quick to fight? Well, because every day outside this classroom,
I have to fight.
I got to fight. Every day outside this classroom, I got to deal with something else at home on the streets, or when I'm just playing, I got the old Italian lady down the street, nigga this, nigga that. And I come to school, and you look at me with the same look that she gave me, and I know what's in your mind.
Right.
And it's like, I was a straight-A student for a while. I mean, probably around something like 10 years. I was a bad kid. I was bored. But then again, I still had to fight. I was short. I cracked jokes. I was quick with my mouthpiece. Pause. And, I had to throw that out there. And, it comes with the territory of being a kid.
His damn dad shit right there.
Yeah. Hey, so it just comes with the territory that it's an unfair advantage automatically because of those
Let me say this one thing before you go there. And so the thing is about it is like, I look at it like this. And so those prejudices that you see played out in the media every single day, every single classroom I walked into in college, I literally got looked at as an affirmative action case. And so what I would do in a lot of my American studies classes, I would do this on purpose. I would ask this question on purpose. I would be like, and I would be like, now, when we get to any topic of discrimination, I would say, now, how many people in here made over a 20 on the ACT? You get a couple people raise their hand. I'd be like, how many people got over 24? You get a couple people raise their hand, but a lot went down. I say, how many people got over 28? Usually it was me and one other person with their hand raised. And I'm like, now, who deserves to be here and who doesn't when I look around the room? And then that's when it would get real.
Yeah.
It would get very real at that point.
Hey, so the point that I was gonna bring up is that we gotta start just living our best life, man. And what I mean by that, my life has been so much better when I've literally acted like a middle-aged white man.
Look, he on to something.
Yo, that's
Because-
real.
No, hold on,
though.
seriously.
That's real. Like, I know where you're going.
I
know where you're going.
I feel entitled. No,
I
you
act
know,
entitled. And tell me I ain't.
I hold on. So I have seen people genuinely walk around this community, this city, or in this country entitled to things just because they were born.
Right.
They put their name in a hat for jobs they know they're not qualified for. They behave in a way that they know they're not qualified for. So no, you know what I do? I should have it. I should go after that promotion.
I deserve it.
I deserve it. I should put my name in a hat for that award. I deserve it. You
Yup.
know why? Because I'm entitled to everything that this unqualified middle-aged white man is. And I've been getting nothing but success because of it.
Same here, bro. That's what.
And I think that's honestly the issue in our community, that we fight and we struggle till we feel deserving of it, till we meet every single standard, and they only want to check out one of the boxes, and they put their name in the hat.
we setting standards or we trying to reach standards that was set by somebody else. Ain't even our standard.
You trying to score and the goalpost keeps moving.
I'm telling
Hey,
you.
that's the
You was finna say something. I saw it in your head.
Come
I
on.
saw it
Come
about to
on,
come
put it out there, man.
I saw the thought bubble. I saw the thought bubble, bro.
Oh, he about to crack the yak on this one.
Oh Lord.
My thing is this right here. At the end of the day, once we realize our own inner king and inner queen,
Hey.
we don't have to equate to
Exactly.
acting like a middle-aged white man. We acting like the kings and queens that we are. And that's at the end of the day, because we deserve everything that's out here. Because number one, we was the pioneers that helped put everything out here together.
Facts.
So it was just that statement when you said you living your best life because you are acting like a middle-aged white man. Nah, act like the king that you are. And that's the best life that we can live.
And
To
true.
me personally, I don't know how a middle-aged white man act because I don't hang around them. I don't be around them.
I work with him every day.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
I don't know.
I work with him every day.
I don't know. But me personally, I mean, because shit, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and my granddad was an entrepreneur, my dad was an entrepreneur, my aunts, my uncles, and everybody have their own business. So I don't know how this corporate America thing worked. I worked there approximately for like about 8 months, and I went and got my face tatted, and I said, "Fuck y'all." Shit,
But no.
'Cause that's what I feel like I wanted to do. but we got to stop equating ourselves with what they do. You know what I mean? We look, number one, they move different. Look, shit, I don't like mayonnaise. They do. So I'm not, you know what I mean? So I'm not gonna equate anything that I do, and I'm not gonna equate
It
my
make lunch
happiness.
meetings weird.
I'm not gonna
right.
equate my happiness to anything
do.
liking of an individual that I don't understand.
Man, it took me till I got to New York to actually realize that. I got to New York, took the first thing smoking, had a job, making so far under a living wage in New York. I was making $40,000 a year and made it work.
In New
for
York?
for 6 months.
Shit, G.
I'm good with money. I
Well,
made that stretch.
I ain't lying.
But look, you see my hair, right? I got 7 inches of hair and all type of curls and whatnot, out of all types of regs for everything.
Right.
But I got comfortable with myself. I got comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's what I tell everybody. And with my job now, they can't tell me nothing because I walk through that building. I say hi to all my staff. I got an assistant. I call her every day. She in Washington, but she look out for me. I look out for her. And I hold my head just as high as these presidents, CEOs, VPs, and directors that I meet with every day. And I'm talking to my managers like, hey, you got 2 more years out of me because I'm going to LA and take this director job
Bingo.
after this. And it's not, I'm applying for them. Like, I'm just letting you know this is the plan. Like, I don't go around asking for anything anymore. I put my work in. This is my value. This is what I got on the table. Recognize it. I'll see you at the bar. And that's what it is. And that's how these middle-aged white men carry themselves with a sense of entitlement and privilege. And I stopped relying on, well, look at my scores. Look what I've done here. Look at no, this is who I am. This is what you're going to get.
I'll
This
tell
is
you
how
what
I
I did. I'm
perform.
gonna tell you what I did. once I took this newest position that I'm in now, I said I'm going to make an honest effort to just stop giving a shit and do what I do. I don't care.
I have the best
I stopped giving a
shit
shit and do what I do. And I tell you, and this is going to lead us into the next the next conversation that we have coming up, which is something that I want Jules to be heavily involved in. The next topic that we got coming up. But I walked in the door and I just said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm here, and I'm gonna own it, and I'm gonna stand in this spot, and I'm gonna make sure that y'all can't say anything to me that makes you think that you're better than me. So what I do, probably the second or third week there, I started setting up meetings by myself on my own with senior VPs.
Yep.
I was like, so that way when my name comes up for AVP, I know who got my back and I know who don't.
Yep.
And the thing is, they know me. They see me in the hallway, like, hey, how you doing? I've walked into a meeting with the managing director with jeans on and some Jordans and been like, how you doing, sir? I'm not going to stop being me.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, my work speaks for itself. Who I am speaks for itself. If I put my name on it, you already know it's solid. You already know it's quality. I don't have to sit here and tap dance before anybody anymore. And I refuse to.
And you know anything about it? In the world of niggerdom, we call that letting your nuts hang.
Yes, sir.
That's called letting your nuts hang. It's not that you are trying to conform to anybody, but you already know what you have instilled in you.
You know what your worth is.
You already know what I bring to the table. Matter of fact, you bring the table.
Hey.
So boom, you already know. That's when you let your nuts hang. You go ahead and let you do whatever you feel like you want to do. Now they got one or two things. They gonna either hold these nuts.
Or they gonna pass.
They gonna let you drag them out. Come on, man.
But I mean, it's that
that's
simple.
Anything.
But
It's that simple. Word.
And I lie to you not. That's how it works, man.
Because a lot of people, man, they get boxed into situations, and and they think the degree is gonna speak for them.
Right.
No.
And
They think the school is gonna speak for them.
Ooh,
No.
and it doesn't.
And they
Let me tell you.
think that reference that they got is gonna speak for them.
No.
Nah. Once you in the door, that might get you in the door. But what's gonna keep you in the house is how you take care of your business.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that school thing because that's what we're going into next.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to tell y'all something that's funny. So we got two people. We're hiring for my team at work. And I had a young lady come in for an interview. I had 3 candidates for these positions. One young lady came in. She had a 3.6 GPA. She had done overseas study. She had an internship at a couple very prestigious places, and she came in for that interview, and it was trash. It was the worst interview ever. My boss was 6 minutes into the interview, and he pinged me and was like, "Hey, come get her."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow,
Like,
okay."
nigga, you want
On
some
my
shit?
team?
Now check this out. We got 2 other candidates, 2 other young ladies, both of which are women of color. One of whom hasn't even graduated college yet.
Right.
She doesn't graduate till May. But she had an internship at the firm I'm at. And when I tell you she came in there in another department and was killing it, I mean, she was killing it. The only experience that she has on her resume is from a hotel. Crazy. The other young lady of color, you know where she went?
Where she went?
She went to a HBCU right here in North Carolina. And she's been at her job for a while. And when she came into that screening interview, when I tell you she nailed it and laid it down better than the other 2 candidates, and so I said, you know what, we got to push this sister forward, and we set up for another interview, and she's gonna come in there, and now she's going to make significantly more than what she was making at her last job. Because the thing is, I don't care what your resume says. If you can't do the work and you can't articulate what you can do for us, then it doesn't matter. But that brings us to something that you said. You said your school may get you in the door. But your work is gonna keep you there. Now now every single year, somebody puts out an article, a think piece, whatever you want to call it, trying to compare the HBCU experience to that of a PWI. Now, one woman 2 years ago on Blavity put out this dumpster fire of an article saying that
A what?
a dumpster fire of an article. Set a dumpster on fire.
Trash.
This is trash.
Just burn all that
Hot
shit.
garbage. Saying that she had a black college. Now the thing is, whenever we refer to HBCUs, we often refer to them as black colleges. That's what we do. I mean, that's been something that's going on since back in like the day, like since before we were born.
A black school.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to a black school, right? And so the thing is, she says I had a black college experience at my HBCU.
I ain't gonna say what I said.
And then she said that we had such and such thousand number of people at our school, and our experience itself was a black experience. No, baby, it wasn't.
It ain't the same.
And so the thing is, now we also see sometimes our HBCU brothers and sisters, did this kind of talk, kind of sideways to those of us that did go to PWIs. Now I went to a PWI. I graduated from PWI.
For the people who don't know what a PWI is,
predominantly white institution.
Right. Predominantly white institution.
And so we have on the phone, and that's
Let me correct you. The school that your black ass wouldn't have been able to get into about 40 and 50 years ago.
Okay, Jules,
I was about to
slow
say,
down,
wow.
slow
We
down.
gonna go back to 40 and 50 years ago?
Sorry,
Slow
Miss
down,
Pistol.
son.
I know
Let
you
me
was
see
loaded.
if I can cancel this cash app.
So
I'm gonna cancel the
hold on,
cash
folks.
app.
Damn.
So the reason I wanted Jules to come on is because Jules has not one, not two, but 3 degrees from 3 different HBCUs.
Right.
And she currently teaches at a PWI. And so the thing is, I wanted Jules to come here because the thing is, this my sister. Me and Jules is, hey, you say something about Jules, you say something about me. And that's just how I feel about it. But the thing is, Jules has never made me feel like less than for going to a PWI.
Right.
And I've never, ever challenged her HBCU experience because I believe that without the HBCU, we wouldn't have as many black professionals as we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the HBCU is the backbone of black, a professional and intelligent life in this society, in America. What's crazy to me sometimes is that we have people coming over here from Nigeria. I think I told the story about a guy who was working as a guard in Iraq who had an MBA in Uganda and was working in Iraq for $700 a month. I don't understand why sometimes these people can't come over here, link up with HBCU, and work on an equivalency of some sort for those PhDs, those master's degrees, and bachelor's degrees so that we can continue building that. Mm-hmm. But that's another story. That's a whole other conversation. That's about the difference between, quote-unquote, Africans and African Americans. I don't want to dive into that. But what I want from Jules right now, and I so appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come talk to us, is I want you to just kind of tell me about your HBCU experience and what made you go to all 3 of your HBCUs.
Okay, so family-wise, I come from a family of educators, right? Mm-hmm. And mostly everyone in my family went to HBCU except for my sister, who went to PWI in Indiana. Okay. My brother went to Howard. He went to Howard, and he went to, for undergrad, he went to Thurgood Marshall Law School here in Houston. My mother went to Edward Waters. My mother did do her master's at IU. But that's another story because that was during the time where they were sending black people to those schools damn near for free just to get their numbers. And if it's loud, I'm cooking because I got multitask.
Hamburger helper.
I'll post a picture of what I'm cooking too.
Oh, Lord.
Tuna helper.
So we know where we're going out of this.
Houston?
I'm with it.
The HBCU experience is all I know. I say all that to say that's all I know. My aunt, my uncles, my stepfather, they basically went to FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, Florida Memorial, Edward Waters, and Tuskegee. Right?
The T,
or North
the
Carolina.
U, S-K-E, the G-double-E, Tuskegee. Woo!
Okay, I'm Marty from
I'm
Alabama.
I'm naming all the schools where my family has gone.
Hey,
we
had a moment over here.
Hampton, Howard, North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T. Is it Virginia Union?
Yep, Virginia Union.
Virginia Union. And I think that's it. But we all.
You think that's it? So you gonna just skip over Norfolk State, huh?
Huh?
You gonna just skip over Norfolk State, Jules?
She was talking about her family.
I didn't have a relative that went there. I'm sorry.
But shout out to you for Norfolk State, and shout out to Rod Bell, aka Hollywood.
My back starts
doing his thing.
You can't say happening without Norfolk State.
Growing up, going to the Florida Classic every year since I don't know birth. So being exposed to FAMU and Bethune all my life, going to different battles of the band, watching. What was that movie? School Days.
Yeah.
What my family had attended school, the pride they had in their schools, the little, back and forth battles they would have with one another, which one was the baddest. visiting schools as a child, not as a high school student, but as a child, visiting Hampton, visiting Howard, visiting North Carolina Central, knowing why North Carolina Central mascot is the Eagles. You know why they're the Eagles? Get back with me on that.
I do. I can find out though.
Okay, and it's tied to Tuskegee in a way.
Hey,
how about that?
I'll check that out.
But but having that upbringing, I couldn't help but have the desire for HBCU. Now, I must say, my HBCU for my undergrad was not my first choice. Oh, let me back up. I also went to I went to historically black boarding school. I went to Piney Woods. So I'm blackity black.
Shout out to Piney Woods in Mississippi, right?
Shout out to being blackity black.
Right, Mississippi.
I like
it's in
that.
Mississippi,
so,
yeah.
Blackity black. Black as that.
That's black as
I don't even remember it. I think USF might have been the only PWI I applied for.
South Florida.
USF
Yeah,
and
South
DePaul.
Florida. Yeah.
Them Bulls.
USF and DePaul. And I did USF because it was close to home. DePaul because that's where my sister went. But everything else was HBCU. And I got into every school I applied for. Except Clark was my number one choice. But Clark did not get the money that Talladega gave. So
Clark
my mama
broke my
told me
heart.
on my 18th birthday that I was not going to Clark.
Clark
Even though it
broke
was
my
in all
heart.
my
I'll tell you that
senior
story later.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So my HBCU experience just taught me the richness that can be found at HBCU campus. To me, an HBCU is like going into a pyramid, looking to extract treasure. And it's plenty of treasure there. Year after year after year after year.
You got to
You
dig through.
explore for 4 years, somebody else come for 4 years, and they're still getting treasure. That's how I look at HBCU. So I had a rich HBCU experience for undergrad. I had a rich HBCU experience for grad school at Texas Southern. At the time, the college president, she was phenomenal. She was very enlightening, very engaging. Undergrad, same thing. I had very engaging college president. The whole experience of speaking up to administration, going to bat for yourself, not just being told you can't do something. No, we pay to be here. We got a voice. And I don't think that would have gone over quite as well at a PWI.
It didn't. I can give you that. I can tell you for a fact it didn't. So I can tell you that.
Right?
I have to beg to differ on that one.
Well, okay, let me take that back. It depends on what it is that you're fighting for.
Absolutely.
It depends on what you're fighting for at a PWI. Because I can tell you, I'll tell you a story one day about how they used me to push out my mentor. And I didn't find that until 2 years after I graduated. Oh, you play politics on a whole nother level. It's a dirty game there. It's a much, much significantly dirtier game there. And let's not get into that. Let's get back to your HBCU experience. So let me ask you a question. So have you ever heard any of your HBCU colleagues say anything negative about students at PWIs?
At people at a no.
You've never heard that? Because
no.
I remember being told, I have been told once upon a time that I wasn't black enough because I went to a PWI.
True.
And then I do remember one time, and this was one of those situations where I was just challenged for not going to an HBCU. So when I first got to college, I wanted to be, I wanted to be where Jamel Hill is now in her career. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to do with my life, was be, on that large platform doing communications work on that level. And so the thing is, Alabama had just purchased a very large TV station and radio station. And it was either that or I was going to go into business. And FAMU offered me a really decent package to come to FAMU. Due to certain circumstances, which I'm not going to go into on the show that are very personal, I ended up going to Bama. And so when I said that, Bama had XYZ and they had just purchased...
Crap.
Huh?
Nothing.
When I said that Bama had purchased, I was talking to a group of HBCU graduates. Ironically enough, after a bachelor party. I don't know why that's ironic, but neither here nor there. Group of HBCU graduates, we was talking after a bachelor party, and we got into the difference between HBCUs and PWIs. And one guy was just absolutely adamant about, why did you take your talent to this predominantly white school when you could have brought that same talent to this HBCU. And I was like, number one, it was the finances. And number two, there was no HBCUs in the country at the time that could have given me the same opportunities in communications that school could have given me. Now, since then, you have places like Howard University that had the only college radio station that was on XM radio. You know, they have direct connections to ESPN and the Undefeated and all these amazing outlets. And so Howard's communications program, I know I got a good friend I was in the Army with who just finished their communications program up there. So you have places like that doing it now. But back then, the only games in town were Bama, Georgia, UNC, Missouri, and Indiana.
Every time you say Bama like that, I feel like a slave is turning in their grave.
Damn.
Nigga. You went to two of the most rural universities in the goddamn state. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Is this what we finna do right now?
Look,
Who fought it?
look, you know,
one of you niggas fought it. Who fought it?
All right, look, this is what I'm saying.
I don't know. That's that shit he talking.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I mean, and look, in both.
God damn it, y'all done got me.
I ain't gonna lie, but I feel like my parents was fighting again. Shit. Look, but I honestly, I look at it
And
like
I've been
this.
trying to stop saying the N-word. So you see what you made me do?
I look at it like this, though. I mean, straight up and down knowledge and Jules. It's like, I feel like both experiences are detrimental into playing into, if you decide to go into corporate America or society. Because at the end of the day, I look at it like this. You learn at HBCUs. You learn. Then you learn to teach, but with a predominantly white school, you learn how to apply because it's people that you're going to come in contact to once you graduate that are not going to be those people that you grew up with within that, or you came into your educational process into the HBCU. So you learn, you teach, and then you have to learn another process of application. So you know how to go through the door. You know how to finesse this situation. You know how to present yourself in this situation, and you know how to do this. You know what I mean?
I got a friend that left Bama to go to Spelman, and the reason she left Bama to go to Spelman is because she said Spelman graduates were interviewing at companies at a higher level than business graduates at Bama were.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, I know that's a success story for Spelman.
Right.
I know that's a typical story for Morehouse, for Howard, for your FAMU, for your Tuskegee, for your Fisk, for your Tennessee State. But what about those smaller HBCUs?
Yeah.
Is that the same?
So I would say yes. And let me back up. I want to go back to something that was said about you learn how to apply to PWI. You learn how to apply to HBCU because many of those professors have experience outside of the Black experience in the workforce, and they come in and they teach from that perspective now. And I'm saying this as someone who's attended 3 different HBCUs and received degrees from each, right? On each level, undergrad, graduate, and a doctorate, right? Mm-hmm. So in my experience and as well as my opinion, I believe that you can get it from both in terms of the application. I think what the HBCU provides that a PWI may lack is that blackity black. And
right.
not
that's swagger. That's swagger when you go in.
So the PWI, you got to find your corner.
That's swagger when you go in and let your nuts hang.
I ain't taking my black ass back to homecoming.
Hey, every year people like, hey, you going to homecoming? Why?
But I mean, the reason why I say that though, Jules, because with me, I mean, I went to Norfolk State. I got my bachelor's degree at Norfolk State, but I went to the military directly after. So my experience, I mean, it might be totally different because I was used to dealing with my people. But when I went to the military, I was dealing with everybody. And I had to relearn my application of how I approach people. That's what I'm saying.
And so you had to learn it in 2 different ways because you had to learn the military way as well as kind of in a personal way as well.
So that's why I say a lot of times, I mean, with the HBCU, yeah, we can learn. Then we actually learn the ability to teach, but then our application might not reach everybody. And I had to get into an environment, I had to be around individuals that were diverse from me in order to apply this shit to everybody I rock with.
So Marvin, I know you got something.
Yeah, so I would say that it's kind of hard for anyone that did not attend a HBCU just like it's very difficult for someone that didn't attend a PWI that lived experience at that time frame in who you are.
Right.
At that particular point in
Point
your
in your
life.
life, bingo.
Right? So it's different when you're a 19
Undergrad.
year, in your undergrad
Yeah.
or whatever
Then
kind of thing.
You're working on a master's
yeah,
program.
kind of
Gotcha.
thing. But at the same time, I would say for myself, I attended a PWI out of the sheer fact that number one, my case manager applied for me to go to that school. So that's it.
That's
So
how we
I ended
rock
up
with it.
going there. But at the same time, while I was there, I went to all black elementary,
School,
middle,
junior school.
and high school. So
Right.
that's all I was ever used to dealing with. So going to the University of Montevallo, that was the first time I ever had to deal with
I'll tell you guys,
somebody.
I lived a very, very black. Like my parents, both graduates of an HBCU. Most of my family went to HBCUs. Most of my friends back home went to HBCUs. I ended up at a PWI, and let's see, when I went to the high school that I graduated from, when I first got there, it was predominantly white. I went to two predominantly black high schools. I went to a predominantly white elementary school. Went to a predominantly white. Well, it was close to 50-50 middle school. The thing is, like, I'd always grown up in these multicultural environments, so my parents made sure to look at me at take me to the hood to play football or soccer and stuff like that.
But I just want to say this before I depart. No matter if you go to a HBCU or you go to a PWI,
Because we got one more topic left.
because a lot of them they had some black in them. And on that note,
Well,
Thank you, Natty. Appreciate that. I know you got a client you got to go see.
Can I say something though?
Drop that.
Because
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm not being able to express. So my point is, HBCUs, both experiences can be valuable, and that's without any argument. Both experiences can be valuable. What I realized, so when I started teaching on the collegiate level, I started at an HBCU. The hardest thing for me to do was to leave an HBCU to go teach at a non-HBCU. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment, a literal come to Jesus moment. And what I realized was the students at the university that I had been teaching at, they were going to have other professors. They might not have professors as amazing as me, but they were going to get what I was getting. Like, at some point, they were going to be able to receive it just because of the location they were in. But what I realized is at the non-HBCU, those students, I can be that example of what a black person does, how a black person interacts.
You set the tone and the standard.
How brilliant black people are, So, yeah, let me go over here and show them, like, look, I don't know what you thought it was, but this is what blackness looks like. Blackness is down to earth. Blackness is brilliant. Blackness is fun. Blackness can make politics sound like, I don't know, taking ice cream, make it exciting. It doesn't have to just be this book. It doesn't have to sound like Fox News or MSNBC. You can really bring this shit to life,
Right.
So that's why I'm at a non-HBCU now. And it was hard for me, again, because my education from 11th grade on was black as hell.
Right.
From fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, I went to a black elementary school. First through third, I was a spot. I was maybe one of 5 people at the entire school. When I say people, I mean adults too. First through third grade. Fourth through sixth grade, all black. 7th through 10th grade, blacks probably made up 20-25% of the schools. But having the experiences that I've had, and coming from an HBCU, having worked in corporate America, what I find that the HBCU did for me was it instilled specific values that I wasn't willing to
Compromise.
compromise. I wasn't going to compromise my core values behind the check,
Right.
because it was bigger than that for me, and you're not going to run over me because I know the game. I know the language that you're using because I've been taught these buzzwords that will be used.
Right.
I don't know if my friends or colleagues that went to PWIs were able to receive that. What I'm on the flip side, what I'm able to give at a PWI is my students are required to watch the 13.
Mm.
They
So,
was
so
watching that on their own.
you expose them to things that they would not normally otherwise get
Right.
in a
I make
traditional
them look
PWI
at it through
experience.
different lenses. I
Right.
changed the optics.
So with that
Same
being said,
fact, new optics.
we gotta move to this last topic before we get out of here
Okay,
because
I
we're
just had
going
to
to be.
say.
I get you. So recently we lost John McCain. I say we as a nation, not we as a people. There's a difference between the two. I respected John McCain because of his experience as a veteran, and the fact that he had, done a couple of good things while he was there. He also did a couple of bad things. He was very honest about that, and he was very clear about that. I can understand his transparency. He said that he tried to do some good things, and he didn't always get it right. He was very, transparent about that and was good about that. I noticed, like, shortly after he died, a lot of the woke folks were saying that, well, y'all know he voted against Martin Luther King Day back in 1980. And, he voted against the 1998 Civil Rights Bill. And he called his captors, who he was captured in Vietnam for 6.5 years, from 1967 to 1963, if I'm not 73, if I'm not mistaken. And he said, when they asked him about his time there, he called his captors gooks, which is a racial slur for Asian folks. And he made a joke in really, really poor taste about the Iranian president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. And so the thing is, now in 2008 he came back and he said, he was wrong for voting against MLK Day. He admitted that in Memphis, to a crowd full of black folks. He defended, the lies about Barack Obama being a Muslim and an Arab and things of that nature. He stood up for certain values that benefited black folks in certain cases.
He stood up for Obama in a few cases.
He stood up for Obama in a few cases while he was still in office, while Obama was still in office. And so my thing is, I look at this and I'm like, I started thinking, I was like, is being woke or woke-ish or whatever, we're kind of sleepy here at this Kind of TV podcast. But the reason we're kind of sleepy is because being woke is kind of exhausting. You're held to a certain standard of perfection that nobody can ever meet. So, like, if somebody makes a mistake, or if somebody makes a bad decision, or does something out of line or out of character, it appears as though they can never be redeemed within the eyes of woke black folks, or they can never be deserving of any sort of respect. Now, earlier, Money Marv, you said something. You said that, somebody has positioned themselves as an enemy of the people. But the thing is, there are certain people who have positioned themselves as an enemy, and there are certain people who have positioned themselves as a occasional enemy, occasional ally. Now, I do believe, such as, the Nation of Gods on Earth teaches us that you either build or destroy. Mm-hmm. Nothing is lukewarm. There's nobody that is neutral. If somebody is using your resources, time, and energy, and they're not adding anything to you, then they are therefore an enemy. They are destroying by default. And so the thing is, though, I look at these situations, and I notice how forgiving and quick to forgive certain black folks are for certain folks. You still got folks out here defending R. Kelly as well as Bill Cosby. And so the thing is, let's say I did something today. Let's say I did something that was considered, quote unquote, anti-black today. And I recognize the error of my ways and I apologize for it tomorrow. And I spent the rest of my life, working on behalf of black people. I feel like the quote unquote woke community would still shun me because I did that one thing that may have been considered anti-black.
All right, so I'm gonna go on a little, not tirade, but I'm gonna make a quick analogy. Ben Affleck has inappropriately touched white women. Mm-hmm. That's a proven fact. Mm-hmm. Mark Wahlberg has beaten an Asian man, like he committed almost to death as a hate crime. Mm-hmm. They films sell out. Their films are platinum. I mean, not platinum. They are multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Right.
They can be forgiven. Mm-hmm. What's that director that married his stepdaughter?
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen. People go see him.
Here's my thing about it.
You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I think where my problem comes in is that R. Kelly is still doing that fuck shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so this is how you can be forgiven once you do something. When you show yourself as an enemy to our community, to the black movement, to upward mobility, and then you The only way you can get out of that and get invited back to the cookout is you have to show yourself to be a consistent ally, and that you've found the error in your ways and you've pivoted.
You stop doing that bullshit.
Yeah, you stop doing the fuck shit, as you said.
Right.
I can't continue to smack you in the face and say I love you and give me a hug.
Right.
But after I stop smacking you and I show myself I'm not trying to hit you anymore, and I understand how me hitting you affected you, now we can build.
Now we can build.
Yeah.
It also comes from just a lineage of history where we're so used to somebody like, all right, we're sorry. Here's the deal. We're gonna do this, and getting screwed over again. So when stuff like that happens to people who are now trying to rectify their past and become friends of the community and get back into the barbecue, we look at them side eyes like, what you really trying to get out of this? And this is just how black people are. We're always on the defense instead of the offense, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but that's a thing that other cultures don't have to deal with. So when stuff like this happens, we look around and we're like, okay, so Bill Cosby did this.
They have the privilege of not having to deal with it.
Yeah, it is a good privilege to have. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know nothing about that. But, R. Kelly is continuing to do what he want to do and don't care about it. And people still support him somehow, some way.
I can't get that.
I can't get with it.
You dumbass motherfuckers are still out here listening to happy people.
And stepping in the name of love.
Can you hold on? And that's
Happy people.
If you
I'm about
don't
to
stop,
block your entire yellow ass.
no,
Keep
seriously.
playing with me.
we got I got a real question about that. Can you separate someone?
I am not yellow. I am maroon.
Well, hold on one second. Can you separate somebody, their evil deeds, from their good deeds?
No.
Like, hold on. Just hear me out. Right now, Bill Cosby is wrong for what he's did. He has been found guilty by a jury of his peers. However, you cannot take away the fact that that man has sent thousands of people to college. He has built that, he's given colleges millions of dollars to be able to give countless of scholarships to people of color. Now, does that make up for it? What he did was wrong? Absolutely not. But you cannot forget the fact that this man is the reason why some people even go to college or even knew college.
I'm not, and here's the thing.
Right?
They benefited, and that's all well and good. But this is how I have to look at it, the duality of it. George Washington owned slaves.
Yes.
He's still on the dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
People can be praised for what they've done to be good, but that does not negate what they've done bad. And so those people that he sent to college, yeah, they benefited. But the thing is, we can sit here and talk about the people who he sent to college and see them, hold them up to the light. But when you balance that against the people whose lives he destroyed by raping them, put that on the scale.
No, you're right. But I will say
I have to weigh that on the scale.
You will have to weigh that on the scale. So I would.
It's not for me to judge him. I just know that I don't rock with rapists. That's just,
hold
on. And I
make a
respect that.
stance.
And I cannot. And I'm literally in no shape, form, or fashion trying to justify what he has done in any shape. But the same way that we acknowledge someone's wrong, you have to acknowledge what they did right. Example, right now, Martin Luther King, an adulterer, straight up whore. We know that to be true.
We know he had all.
He devastated lives for what he did in the dark. Hold on. You may not feel like he did, but if you one of them women, did you not get your feelings hurt? Were you not devastated by that?
Some of them.
If you're his wife, how do you feel about that?
Wait, some of them was prostitutes. So it was an exchange of goods for services.
So again, that's even worse.
But wait. Listen to what
But
I'm
this
saying.
is the man that we idolize.
Wait, stop,
that's
stop,
our one.
Stop. Listen to what I'm saying here.
Come on.
When that man is an adulterer, however that adultery is handled in his household is between him and his wife. I can acknowledge it, and I can say, hey, he's wrong for being an adulterer. That's where it ends for me. And the reason it ends there for me is because however his wife chose to carry it and how he chose to carry it is how they chose to carry it. When you literally force yourself upon a woman, whether it be by it's something different.
I'm not saying it's right.
It's an equivocation though. It's an equivocation though that's kind of unfair to make. You feel me? And so the thing is, like, people said that Malcolm was, people like, there are feminists out there who believe that Malcolm was anti-woman. And I'm like, oh, well, I haven't really looked as much into Malcolm's. Now, I've read his autobiography. I've read the book by Manning Marable about him. I haven't really looked into the details regarding that to know whether it is or not. But I'm not going to negate or invalidate their feelings regarding that. Mm-hmm. My biggest thing is this whole point about forgiveness. Those preachers who went to see Trump can be forgiven. Omarosa, she going to have to do a whole lot.
She gonna have to balance scale.
I think she actually been trying to jump out the front porch. That's what she been doing. She been trying. She may get some fed time, but she trying.
But right now, Granddaddy said he don't want no hammerhead hustlers at his house, so she should get off the porch. Chrisette Michelle, she can eventually come back. The thing is,
we dropped her like a bad habit.
Yeah, but
that couple of forevers wasn't forever.
And we got to wrap up. But the thing is about it is that this uncompromising standard of perfection amongst folks who consider themselves aware or woke or whatever, what have you. It's killing us in some places.
It's draining. So John McCain, I would have to say, he's done wrong. He has been an enemy of the people, right. But he's also said, I was wrong, I was ill-advised, and I made some mistakes in my life. And I'm going to stand for the... I
respect him for that.
Yeah, so it's like you got to look at it like that.
Over the last year, on his deathbed, just look at some of the actions he was taking.
And my thing is, some of these folk who so woke and got so much to say about other folks, I'm like, shh, man, I guarantee if we look through your browser history.
Yup.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us here at the Council Podcast.
Hold on, can I just say Omarosa is not invited, like, at all?
Oh, no, her ass can't come back. She can't even come on the porch. She can't come past the third step like Kevin Hart did.
Charlamagne asked Roland Martin.
Hey, I don't give a damn about what Charlamagne got to say or Roland Martin ragged ass got to say.
He asked this morning that he thinks that Omarosa was the spook who sat by the door. Absolutely the fuck not.
Nah, she gonna try to spin that narrative, but no.
Most people have not read that book, and I implore you to read it, but absolutely the fuck not.
If you need it, if you need a copy of the book, please email us.
I know I got a few audio copies I can give out.
If you need,
she was an opportunist, and it turned sour on her. Yep. And this is all she's trying to do to recover. She's a scorned woman. It doesn't matter if she was black or white.
No, she's not a scorned woman. She is the female version of Trump. She learned from him and she's applying everything. Yep. And I believe it's a distraction too. Pay attention.
Stay woke.
Pay attention to other things that are going on in the world.
Stay woke.
And watch the pictures of her and Stacey Dash hanging out.
Let's take naps.
So that's going to do it for us here at the Council Podcast. Jules, thank you so much for checking us out here, for kicking it with us.
Get my new boyfriend my number, Chad. Don't be a hater.
Hey.
Who is your new boyfriend?
I got your Cash App. Don't worry about that.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
It sounds like an exchange of goods for services.
Get the hell off my phone. Make sure y'all check out Pretty Petty Politics. And she really did hang up too. Make sure y'all check out Pretty Petty Politics. That's the podcast that she's on. Also want to give a shout out to one of our folks here in Charlotte, the Kickin' Shit Podcast. That's KICKIN Shit Podcast right here in Charlotte. They showed us some love on our Instagram page, which is the Content TV Podcast on Instagram. Also want to give out a shout out to a podcast called Sis and the Dear Black Girl podcast too. Some great podcasts from some good folks y'all need to check out. They gonna be, we want to bring the family together and have everybody come through. Also, don't forget Elevated Radio. That's another podcast that we've collaborated with before in the past. They used to come on here in some of our early episodes. Make sure y'all still listening to them. Before we get out of here, Rell, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Man, normally I got some bars to drop, but I'm just gonna say this. As we talked about our discussion of HBCUs and PWIs and everything like that, I don't give people knowledge for free. I will sit back and entertain the conversation just to see where their mind's at. Now I know what I'm up against.
Nothing in this world is free, my brother, especially not education.
Negative.
Money Marv.
All right, so I'm going to leave with this statement. All reconciliation doesn't lead to forgiveness. And you have to accept that. So in the regards to like a Bill Cosby or R. Kelly or this, that, and the other, just because we, you know, let that go, doesn't mean that we ever gonna be cool again. You can't come to the cookout, and that's just the realness of it. You know, stay woke, my people, and understand that. Keep your head on a swivel. Like, it's real out here. And even though we make it funny and we cracking these jokes, you was dropping knowledge today, for real. Seriously.
Hey, man, that's what we try to do here.
And people ain't catching it. So
Hey,
subscribe right now. Stop what you doing and go subscribe.
You
for real.
said what you said right there. All reconciliation doesn't lead to forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Bars, my brother.
Hashtag
Bars.
T-shirt.
Bars.
Hey, I've been looking for something to put on a t-shirt.
Hey,
I'm finna.
we gonna
Don't
discuss
trademark my. I gotta go trademark it. Right.
We gonna discuss this after this episode. Before we get out of here, the last thing I want to say, man, is like I say each week, make sure y'all out here and be free, be absolutely free. But one more thing, and I'm gonna say this regarding those people who have proven themselves to be enemies to the people. Watch for the hook. No matter what, always watch for the hook.
Fade coming.
These jabs keep coming at you straight to your face. You see those jabs. Those jabs are just blocking you from seeing that hook that's coming right behind it. So watch for the hook. Once again, thank y'all for listening to the Cosby Podcast. And for the whole team here, as well as Natty, who had to make his way out, peace. We'll check y'all next week.
Yep.
Bye